Welcome, Bi-Conics wrestling fans, to another AEW Dynamite review, Just Three Gents, with myself, JVL, El Jefe, our wonderful gente, Mikey, and, oh geez, someone walking down the aisle, wagging with such swagger and arrogance as you've never seen of a blue blood Connecticut wrestling promoter. My brother, ZVL, Zach Van Luling, is here with us tonight. Mikey, you've never met this person before in your life, have you?
No.
How's it going, plebes?
Starting off strong. So we are so excited to be here to review AEW Dynamite from the 22nd of November. Zach has never watched AEW in his life, and so therefore this is going to be a roller coaster ride coming in on a Fallout show from a pay-per-view, let alone anything else. But we're just glad to have you here in this giant white void in the middle of Massachusetts.
Thrilled to be here. Absolutely a thrill. You know, I can bring commentary on any subject. Doesn't matter if I've seen it or not. Frankly, I've seen it all.
Could you give our loyal listeners a background on you in wrestling and what you've come from and kind of what you know?
Look, it's pretty simple. We grew up on the OG best stuff you could get. We had the family era of the late 80s, early 90s. We watched as WCW rose and fell. We watched the Attitude Era, and what we're left with now is, you know, some competition from this little, what is it, AEW?
AEW, yes.
Yes. You know, they're a cool little band of boys, but, you know, truth be told, where's the dough? Where's the dough?
From Tony Khan, apparently, Mikey, am I right?
Nah.
But yes, so we are going to review this tonight, and so as usual, if you would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop us a like, a comment, get those alert bells going so you know we're going to come out with new stuff. Interact with us, drop us a comment. We'd love to know. Tell us if you like Zach better than anyone else on there, and we'll probably have him back at some point. If not, the professor is going to just be held in a cage somewhere. But, Mikey, we move, first off, we get a kind of rehash of not only the fallout from Full Gear, but what the tournament that's going on this entire episode is for the Continental Classic. And Mikey, did you feel like we got probably the better of the three matches that were going to be going on Wednesday versus on Friday this week, or did you feel like we should have had a different group?
You see, it's a little bit difficult because I will admit I feel like the stronger group is in the Gold League, so to speak, with, you know, the 6 participants we have in there. But I am excited for both leagues, and honestly, I think we probably are going to get this week. Dynamite's going to have the better of the matches, and I mean, the 3 matches we got for this tournament were actually all pretty stellar.
They really were. And did you also pick up on the fact, because they were the Gold and Blue League, this was a very, very big reference to Uncanny X-Men from the 90s, both teams being the Blue and Gold teams. I mean, this was on purpose. I don't know if you could see that.
Because nothing says competitive sports like 90s cartoon.
Extreme
superheroes.
X-Men. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But we started off with our first match in this tournament. It was Swerve Strickland versus Jay Lethal to see. And now this tournament, Zach, is a round-robin tournament like the G1 Climax and NGPW. There isn't a lose at the end of it. You get a point system. A win is 3 points, a draw is 1, and a loss is 0. And so if you lose a match, you're not out of the tournament yet. You are still in it, but it is bad because you're losing points on that point.
Sounds like a great way to see some bodies hit the floor. Absolutely. I will say, first of all, though, Jay Lethal, established powerhouse, really enjoy his work. Gotta say, though.
You know Jay Lethal.
I know Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal, he's a fatal figure in my life. I will tell you, though, Jay Lethal here, this is a pretty disappointing performance.
Are you reading up someone else?
I gotta say, if you can't lock it up with these kind of moves, like, my lord, what is going on? Do the performers in AEW all have, like, brains that are encased in steel? Because I gotta tell you, the level of headshots these guys are taking, brain busters with a 2 count, my lord.
Also, just for your information as well.
Or are they just that bad at delivering the brain buster?
You'd have to watch to find out. Also, one thing on this, Swerve Strickland was coming off a Texas death match on Saturday night where he had child's drawings stapled to his face.
Oh, thank God it wasn't an Oklahoma death match, though. Those things can get pretty out of hand.
Mikey, while I love the review here, what did you feel about this match? Did you feel like Swerve was healed up enough to bring it to the next level, or that this was kind of a foregone conclusion before we got to the end?
I actually thought this was a pretty good opener. I do appreciate the fact that Jay Lethal left the Jeff Jarrett squad behind and reminded people that he actually can wrestle without multiple interferences from multiple people. But it would have been a crime if Swerve had lost this match, because Swerve is coming off of a huge victory in that Texas death match where everything but the kitchen sink was thrown between him and Hangman Page at that point. So it makes sense that Swerve wins here, but I was very surprised of how much time we actually gave this match, because I would have gave it to the second match that we got for the tournament a little bit longer, but this was a good opener, and with Swerve picking up the victory here, is already in a good position.
That is the nice thing about this tournament, is there is a lot of great talent in it that is up and coming in the mid-card that could win this. And so it's really hard to predict these as we go along beforehand. I will say some of the things I did notice on here, Swerve was still laughing at Lethal after he took his knee out in a really horrible way, so it was really still playing up the heel on heel, even though the crowd was with Swerve the entire time. And then Jay Lethal, selling that knee on the lethal injection, on the other things he tried to get across, he really was beaten down by Swerve in the most horrible way. So a really good way to open up, a very fun match to open up and get you on board if you had never seen AEW before, get you involved with the storylines that were going forward. We then cut backstage to Renee Paquette, formerly Renee Young in WWE, who is interviewing the international champion Orange Cassidy, Hook, and Shibata, who are teaming up in a trios match later on, and kind of getting them to go into why they're getting together, what's going on with this, and they're interrupted, Mikey, weren't they?
Yeah, they were interrupted by everyone's favorite third wheel, Wheeler Yuta. Listen, I bag on him, but I'm happy to see him. Still needs work on his promo skills, but
he's very milquetoast.
Yep.
Listen, Ciabatta's an appetizing course. Listen, I understand interrupting that. You need a main course out on there. All right.
While you are quite correct about Shibata is the ROH Pure Rules champion who is from Japan and speaks very little. He's very educated feet, that type of very hardcore wrestler.
Absolutely
and
delicious.
Was going after him to get his title back.
He pairs well with red wine.
He does. He's a very fine vintage. So then we go from a backstage promo to an in-the-ring promo that took basically the majority of the show, if I'm not wrong, Mikey, where we had the brochachos of Adam Cole and MJF, the champion of AEW.
Wait. You're telling me that they took the majority of the program with an in-ring promo?
They're turning into WWE.
Is this the McMahon-Helmsley faction back? Is this like... What is this?
It's close to that. MJF, who is the champion,
Yes.
has been involved with multiple people over the last couple of weeks to the point where everyone has their inroad. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So basically, he is the focal point of this. And he's basically Triple H.
There's only 1 degree here.
Only 1 degree. But it's Triple H in his, reign of terror type of thing, where he's involved with everything. And so, Mikey, I have to ask you this up front. I mean, I know what I think about this, and you obviously have a big opinion on this. Do you think Adam Cole is truly as injured as he's saying he is, or is he just selling the leg in kayfabe to be the devil in the background beating up all of MJF's friends? What are you thinking after this promo?
So I feel, first and foremost, I feel that you could have cut this promo down by like 10 minutes in order to get to the foregone conclusion that this promo was to set up the main event for World's End at the end of December.
Well, the entrance was half of it because both of them are injured and hobbling on canes and crutches. So
I already stated how I felt about the whole angle, MJF having a bum knee and wrestling with a bum knee. We've discussed it at verbatim. They should have ended the promo with the devil showing up, but then we had a whole nother 10 minutes of Samoa Joe basically calling MJF like his property, which was weird. And upon first viewing, I wasn't too sure. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I mean...
Meanwhile, MJF being as edgy as possible, telling him to blow him, and a couple other big ways of telling him he won't give him his title shot, while Adam Cole sits there and basically talks Max into it as if he's the devil, making Max take on these horrible things.
Again, we could have gotten to this without all the in-between.
Literally could have.
Adam Cole just looks weak. He looks weak. And Samoa Joe, the once proud, great Samoa Joe.
Samoan Joseph, yep.
Is kind of left to be somewhere between his former self and Taz in this look here. What's going on, man? What's going on? The towel? Give me a break.
I mean, you do know from watching AEW so much that Taz is actually on commentary.
I am aware of Taz's current position in wrestling, and it's better than he deserves. better than he deserves.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, absolutely abhorrent that Taz would even arise to this occasion, all right? But Samoa Joe, please, sir, like, do something better. Do something better.
I will also say the voice in the promo with the devil mask sounded suspiciously like Britt Baker. It was a little bit more high-pitched than Adam Cole, so I don't know if they're going to bring in Britt Baker, who is Adam Cole's girlfriend and also a female wrestler in the company, to be the head of this attacking on MJF and his friends, but it could possibly be Mikey. Possibly.
Well, but at least we got the main event now for World's End at the end of this fairly long segment. MJF versus Samoa Joe in MJF's backyard of Long Island.
Tell me you didn't have enough for your program without telling me you didn't have enough for your program.
Either way, we move on to our trios match, where it is Magic Matt Bernard, Cool Hand Ange, and Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger. Jake Hager, yes. Versus Hook Shibata and Orange Cassidy.
Does he still love America, though?
Not as much. He tried to, but then they kind of stopped him from doing that because it was trademarked by the other company.
Yeah.
So now he just walks around in purple bucket hats, except tonight. Because Mikey, who showed up? Who was Orange Cassidy's gift to the crowd this evening?
We've been saying this for weeks now, because specifically me, but we got a returning Danhausen finally, and I'm so happy that Danhausen is back.
You know Danhausen. You're a big fan of Danhausen.
Big fan.
The Conan O'Brien of horror wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
He was a nice injection of comedy that was needed in this match that kind of went nowhere as well. I was surprised to see Shibata being the heavy against Jake Hager for most of it, because he's not technically usually used in that role. But seeing that was kind of an interesting way to see Shibata use a different part of his arsenal for being kind of that silent assassin. Mikey, how did you feel about this in the middle of the card? Could this have been later on in the night? Could this have been a better match?
I think this is actually a pretty good place to put it, given the fact that you still had two more tournament matches. Then you had probably the best women's segment that has happened on AEW within the last, month, a few months or so.
Right.
So I think this was perfect. Danhausen is back, which I really, really love. Shibata carrying, being the powerhouse for his team, makes a lot of sense, especially given the fact that he's supposed to be defending his title on Ring of Honor very shortly. And now with Danhausen back, give me Orange Hookhausen as a trio, and we're good to go.
Does Danhausen still have the hat, though?
So far, he never gave it back to Jake Hager. He still has the bucket hat.
I mean, you can do a lot with the bucket hat.
He's probably cursing it right now.
Probably.
Literally cursing.
No, you've got to be right about that. I mean, he's not going to waste an opportunity like this to apply a curse to his rival.
It's going to make him get on TV, which makes then he can make all the monies and be very kind and very evil at the same time. It's going to be, he's very nice, very evil. Not to spoil anything, you might be getting a Danhausen shirt for Christmas because you're just such a big fan.
That's cute. I need more rags.
For your lovely stock of cars and stuff.
It's nothing to say about Danhausen or anything like that, but your trivial cotton fabrics are nothing compared to my
synthetic.
I've said too much, frankly. There's just things that you don't know about, okay?
Your space age synthetic fibers that you wear.
Why do you think I'm 47 years old and I look like this? It's in the pudding.
It is the pudding. Speaking of pudding, as you describe the next person that's back on our screens, he doesn't look too powerful. He looks like pudding itself. Renee is talking with Adam Cole backstage, and as he's describing that what he's going to be doing for his rehab on his knee and everything else, we have Roddy Strong entering, yelling at him again because he didn't see him at the pay-per-view. He didn't see him anywhere else, and we finally get the confrontation we've been wanting between Adam Cole and Roddy Strong. Mikey, did this live up to expectation?
So first and foremost, I still have a little bit of PTSD from I was at the pay-per-view live, and just the 3 hours that pay-per-view was, I'm just like, all right, it's starting to wear its welcome. Just like Roderick Strong is starting to wear his welcome. I don't mind that we finally had the face-to-face confrontation, given the fact that most of it was over FaceTime calls the last couple of weeks or so. But I'm starting to get bored. They need to add another chapter to this. I'm hoping that a new dimension will be added into this story and this rivalry, because it's starting to get one note for me.
Basically, it's time to get off the pot and make something happen. I don't know if you feel the same.
Adam Cole looks weak. I'm just saying, Adam Cole looks weak.
Well, then he's got to look strong
at
soon.
this interview. Could you look any more like you are a non-factor in anything? Like you guys were talking about him being out there selling this too much or whatever. It's like he should just disappear till he's ready to compete. Like, oh gosh, this is pitiful. Vince McMahon would never let this happen. Vince McMahon would never let this be on screen at the same time. Your drama is between two guys that are off the shelf.
I mean, Roderick Strong has been wrestling.
On the shelf.
Roderick Strong is off the shelf. He's been wrestling quite a bit, but putting the neck brace on afterwards because he is neck strong.
Yeah, but give me a break. He's claiming he's hurt, so go be hurt.
This is wrestling.
Make room for Christian Cage.
We're going to jump to him very shortly because, I mean, we can kind of skip over this next part, Mikey. Basically, this was announced at the pay-per-view. Will Ospreay is leaving NJPW starting the new year, joining AEW full-time, and he is going to be a whole different dynamic shift for wrestling in there.
Did you know that Gangrel smells like almonds? I met him this summer. He smells like almonds.
I did not.
I wonder if he had a wound or something.
That would be gangrene if he did, and that would be gangrene.
I mean... It's on brand. It's on brand.
Bloody stumps and all.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, and you bring him up before, and reminding me of someone maybe that the personification of what's going on here, Christian Cage brings out the patriarchy. His two sons, Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne.
Oh God.
His adopted sons, which he has this whole thing about loving dead dads. So it's great to have there, and he belittles Luchasaurus in the middle of the ring for losing the match that Christian Cage cost him when he smacked him in the head with the title and ran away.
Luchasaurus lost when he named himself Luchasaurus, all right? Like, that was...
You've obviously not seen the dinosaur work.
I have. Briefly. The TV may have gotten turned off.
I believe it. But so, Christian ends up renaming both of his two sons. Nick Wayne.
would too.
He named Luchasaurus Killswitch after his finishing move. And he named Nick Wayne the Prodigy because he is an 18-year-old prodigy. And then,
good. Just trade in your trash can for your other colored trash can.
As this was happening, Nick Wayne's mother, who has come out here, Nick Wayne's father is actually dead, and Christian Cage has adopted him as his own son and says he's a better father, goes to give Nick Wayne's mother a concerto by herself.
Listen, that's copyrighted.
You'll wait. Luchasaurus then steps in the way, breaking through. We think this is going to be the time when they split apart, and who should appear but Adam Copeland.
It's always the Adams.
Do you know who Adam Copeland is?
Yes, I know who Adam Copeland is.
How do you know who Adam Copeland is?
Because I watch wrestling.
Mikey, I think this was the best promo of the evening. I thought this was a great segment that really drew very heavily on a lot of great old tropes. Did you feel like it could have been trimmed a bit, that it was too harsh, or did you not like that Luchasaurus then protected Christian at the end of this?
See, this was the best promo of the night, and also, this is probably outside of Hangman and Swerve, this is probably the best feud that we got going into the end of the year, and probably going to continue to the beginning of the year. One thing AEW doesn't do as much as other companies is they don't treat their fans like we're dumb. Like, we can talk about them being in other companies. At first, I wasn't too sure and too keen on Nick Wayne's mom taking a concerto, but then I figure, wait a minute, her son's been doing more dangerous stuff than just what's happening in this ring. I'm like, she's probably seen it all, so she's fine with this.
Well, on top of that, she did then watch her own son take one from Adam Copeland and did nothing about it.
Mama Wayne has got other priorities to deal with right now. But I'm intrigued. I'm excited for this match. I am liking the fact that Luchasaurus is starting to have doubts. Oh, sorry, Kill Switch. You gotta stop with the name change.
We're not doing this.
We're not doing this.
Unless you like it better.
Maybe Luca Switch? Killsaurus?
Killsaurus.
Switch Killsaurus? Killsaurus Switch? I don't know.
We're getting close to Switchblade Jay White at this point. That'd be bad.
At the end of the day, we're dealing with Edge and Christian, okay? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You talked about, we can talk about guys being in other companies, then let's just be real. These guys are Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. They never were. It's Edge and Christian. Jack Hager, Jack Swagger. If you were anointed with a name by Vince McMahon, that definitely supersedes your parents, okay? That definitely supersedes your parents. Did you see him when he sold the company and how he looked like Ricky Ricardo?
What is it? Vincenzo Macaroni, a human businessman?
He's Vince McMahon. He can get away with that.
Being
at
Gomez
70-something years old. Yes, being Gomez at 76 years old is something that he is allowed to do. To be honest, all of this nonsense seems to be a prelude to something much better. This show has to have some real stuff for me to enjoy, right?
We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. It won't be the next segment, though, because this was another backstage promo.
Speaking of nonsense.
Speaking to Anna Jay about her upcoming match with Ruby Soho and with Sky Blue. And is interrupted by 2.0 and Jake Hager again, complaining about all this losing and the fact that we're also doing a love storyline now between Cool Hand Ange and Ruby Soho, who obviously this is going to play into the match we come into later. Mikey, I had forgotten this was a thing, and I'm kind of upset about it because it made the match later on totally pointless in a lot of ways and didn't need to be a lot of different ways, with the triple threat being what it was, having this background storyline, having Saraya being upset with that as well. It's very soapy, very WWE. Are we going too far down that road to try to compete with them, or do you feel like this is just them throwing something at the wall to see if it sticks?
See, you described as you being annoyed with this whole thing. I'm upset given the fact that this is not the first time that I've seen the 2.0 boys interrupt Anna Jay during a promo, because as one of the two people on this, whole entire enterprise we got going on that reviews the C show Rampage that happened over there, and this development of the relationship happens over there. I hate it. I hate it for Anna Jay. I hate it for Ruby.
Matches used to primarily advance storylines leading into big payoff pay-per-views. I know we don't talk about pay-per-view anymore because it's not a real thing anymore, but like
it's for AEW.
The backstage segments that you guys keep describing that I have seen some of over the past, it's too much, as you guys are saying. It is absolutely 4 times too much promo, not enough movement of the story through the match itself. And when there is movement of the story with the match, what you're describing here is that it doesn't quite make sense anyway. There are elements of the match in terms of who's involved that just seem to be stupid.
It seems like, and this is talked about before, that Tony Khan is following the Vince McMahon mold of I want to make moments, not stories, that he went into in the late 2000s, early aughts, and it's becoming worse and worse as we're going along.
And he doesn't have the tempering forces backstage that Vince McMahon had in the 90s to continue to push the notion that, yes, your moments are wonderful, but we have to make this look like a competition. And he had folks who kept bringing that to his attention. I mean, in certain absolutely failed ways, but in the midst of the Attitude Era, we had the Brawl for All tournament.
Which we're doing right now almost.
Which is terrible. Don't get me wrong, absolutely terrible. But it speaks to that notion that there were always voices backstage saying this needs to still come across as real to people. Like, it has to. You can't. The whole fan base can't live in the backstage space.
There's no investment at that point.
At that point, what is it even really? What is the thing you're watching?
Mikey, he brings up a good point, though, because at the same way, we're in a classic competition here. We're having a tournament going on in the middle of this entire show. Our second match of the night before that was Roosh versus Jay White for another part of the round robin, and this was my match of the night. This was overall a well-told story in the ring, athletically gifted, and really showed off the two different characters, where Roosh is the cocky, heavy, super badass, and Jay White is the sniveling heel who wins by pure and utter guile. And, I like Jay White so much. I'm glad they gave him more to do. I'm sad he had to lose in this match. But the two of them, put together with Roosh, playing his mind games with him, and Jay White, honestly, playing up to it to the point where he had to get a dick kick in to win. Like, it's a huge, huge difference there, including the guns getting ejected at the beginning of this. Mikey, you're right. Should this have been given more time? Should this have been a longer match?
I'm not saying that you want to take time away from other matches, because everyone deserves some time. But if you were going to shave a few minutes and give it to another match, it definitely was this one, especially given the fact that this is, unless they advance further into the
Don't you touch me.
tournament, This is the only time we're going to see Jay White and Roosh like go head to head in this tournament, because everyone's going to fight each other once, and then whoever has the most points will be moving on to, face the winner of the other league. I am hesitant to say that this was my match of the night. This came very, very close, but there's... Spoiler alert, the main event ended up being my match of the night.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does.
But this was a close second.
I have to disagree with you on this. The athleticism in this one was much more fun versus the full-out brawl that was the main event, and just the heel tactics with Jay White, because Roosh is known as the White Bull or the Bull Blanco, doing the Matador taunts at him and saying like, "Come on, hit me," and then a chop fest goes on. It was brutal. What was your thoughts?
I do like a good chop fest.
This was a chop fest.
I'm always a fan of good chop fest. That's a gimmicky moment that I'll always be a happy fan of. Athleticism's great. Making it a spot fest doesn't make it a great show to me. What makes it a great show to me is some good spots mixed in with some great technical wrestling, and I just don't know if that's what we're getting here.
You would know if you had watched the match.
It's a good point, but I'm being honest. I don't know if that's what we got here, and I was looking for some feedback there.
Well, we're going to move from a spot fest and kind of gimmicky type of thing to
I knew it was a spot fest. I knew it was a gimmick fest.
A very gimmicky promo, which I thought was quite endearing and also very different than you would see in normal places. Timeless Toni Storm is now playing up this kind of like lost 30s era diva actress character. She has won the AEW Women's Championship, and she's giving her acceptance speech at the top of the ramp. She comes out of the crowd. "Oh, it's me! I've won!" They announce it like the Oscars, and then everything goes black and white, and she announces her love for everyone else. I think she thanked Anthony Khan and Jack Warner to help her out with her career, as well as all of the little girls out there that are storm heads, to know that they should not go into wrestling because she's got it locked down, and they should do something else with their lives.
So if I'm a casual wrestling fan and I'm flipping through things, I'm like, you know what? AEW's on right now. I'm going to check it out. And I pop in during this. Since I didn't see it, but based on this description, I want to ask both of you. If I pop in at the, let's say, the moment that earliest in this where it's like it's already happening, you can't...
It's like it's the Oscars.
It's just the Oscars thing. What wrestling fan is going to stay watching this?
Mikey?
So you do bring up a good point. There's all different types of wrestling fans out there. I tend to be the one that really likes the good in-ring work as well, but I'm also a person who enjoys the camp. I can make an argument as to why some wrestling fans wouldn't enjoy the campiness or the silliness of a character like Timeless Toni Storm being this like noir style, like Hollywood starlet. I think that you need to be able to find a balance between the technical side of wrestling and the in-ring work versus the characters. The way that I view wrestling is like a dramatic soap opera. You have in-ring athleticism paired with the soapy, over-the-top characters and ridiculousness that is the storylines.
This is certainly better than Adam Cole looking weak for 20 minutes on a television broadcast, okay? Don't get me wrong.
It got across her entire storyline and who she is in a very short amount of time. So as you're a casual, you're coming in under at least understanding what you're watching, which is nice versus what Adam Cole would have done.
I'll take that.
But this was what I loved about this is that AEW's been playing with the blurring of lines between segments, because as this is going on, Toni Storm is interrupted by one of the participants in the next match, blowing through her acceptance speech. Sky Blue ruins it and comes in to get set up for the next match, which honestly, I'm enjoying this kind of meta-ness of it, where it's like you're at the event, things just keep happening. Mikey, did you enjoy the kind of like, setting Sky Blue up to be that next challenger for her title via this, basically, as someone is miffed her?
Yes and no. So I'm excited to see Sky Blue potentially get a title shot against Toni Storm. Sky got pinned in the triple threat for the TBS championship at Full Gear not even 5 days ago. And I'm not too keen on how I feel about Sky potentially being Tony's opponent at World's End. I'm still of the mindset where I feel like there's still more that's left untapped with the current story that we had going on between Tony and Hikaru Shida. So,
well, and this also bothered me too, because going into that match, you had Anna Jay and Ruby Soho in the match, who have beef with each other for the third-rate storylines they're doing. Sky Blue is in this for what reason? She's there as the person that ends up winning, and she's quite a good worker, but none of the storylines gelled, and I'm sitting there going, so you gave us a match and a promo in the same segment, just one, in your second hour, that you've been doing for these women for the past 5, 6, 7 months. You couldn't have maybe set the promo earlier in the night, or perhaps added on a different match for the other title they have, instead of perhaps, I don't know, 3 of the promos we had going on tonight, cut the promo with Samoa Joe and have something to give us more wrestling. It would have been nice. I thought it was, while, a tougher match to do, they were trying to work too many things in this. Did you feel like that Sky even needed to be there for this match?
So this is where I am going to be a little harsh when my criticisms. I don't think if you were going to have a triple threat, I think you honestly could have switched out all 3 of these women, because the other thing that ties them together that's unfortunate is that none of these women have won any of their matches the last couple of weeks either. Ruby hasn't won her matches. Anna Jay has definitely not won any of her matches. And Sky Blue just lost on a pay-per-view against your new TBS champion, Julia Hart. So if you were going to put 3 women in there, you would, from a storytelling, in-ring psychology, from my personal background as a writer, if you're going to do some sort of #1 contendership without calling it a #1 contendership, you need to put women that have actually been winning their matches the last couple of weeks.
Overall, not the worst thing on the night, because that was next. We had a pre-taped promo with Wardlow, who was doing dumbbell raises of scaffolding that he found somewhere, and is interrupted while talking about why he wants to fight MJF for the umpteenth week, and setting up AR Fox to be his next opponent. Why? Is my only question. I don't know why he's on TV. I don't know why they're making AR Fox be the sacrificial lamb, and I don't know why they wasted a good 2.5 to 3 minutes of our life to watch him say the same thing he said for 5 weeks straight. He sucked the life out of the room.
Well, wrestling fans aren't necessarily known for retaining information.
You haven't been to AEW, have you?
I mean, maybe it's just the ones I know.
Go on.
Uh-oh.
John.
Zach.
Do you even remember what your name used to be?
John Van Vicious.
No, Rick. You were Richard, and then one day you just forgot that you were Richard and you became John. Do you know?
I don't.
I'm terribly sorry.
Are you? Is that why you called me a
that.
giant dick most of the time?
No, that's because you were a giant dick.
Either way, Mikey, Wardlow, was it worth it?
Sorry, I was caught off guard. Again, this goes back to what we've been discussing the last couple of weeks. There are way too many people involved in the main championship storyline for vying that for MJF's title. Jay White is out of the picture because now he's got something better to do, if I'm being completely honest. I feel that having Wardlow squash AR Fox when we get this match doesn't seem the right move to me.
But we move on to our main event of the evening. This is the final match of the night. Again, the third match in this tournament going on in the round robin. We have Jon Moxley, formerly Dean Ambrose, as you might know him in that vaunted WWE, taking on Mark Briscoe of the Briscoes, whose brother died recently, and he has been kind of riding that wave of goodwill and nostalgia as the good guy in this. And to be perfectly frank, this was a bruiser fest where Moxley, for some reason, didn't bleed. Briscoe bled. I was completely thrown off by this, Mikey, because as we know, Jon Moxley bleeds going to Starbucks. So how he didn't draw the red stuff, I don't know. I'm assuming this was your match of the night.
This was my match of the night. I'm always down for a good bruiser fight, but also, given Mox and Briscoe's history on the independent scene too with each other, I think also plays a part into the nostalgia factor for me. And like you said, I can never root against Mark Briscoe given how much he's gone through the last year with the loss of his brother. I think I like this match more given the fact that I kind of did. Well, no, I shouldn't have expected a bruiser match because Roosh is a bruiser, but Jay White's not that type of wrestler. It depends.
This was more Death Jitsu versus Redneck Fu.
I think the spectacle of it was maybe what made me enjoy it even more, just because of the fact I knew what I was getting into. Jon Moxley not bleeding was also kind of surprising, but then I thought about it as like he probably has something in his contract where he's not allowed to bleed. Like once he bleeds, he's got to wait 7 days before he can do it again because he bled all over the place at Full Gear against Orange Cassidy.
I mean, I don't know anything about the contracts these guys are under, but if they're allowing bleeding in the 21st century, I'm guessing that they are under some kind of deal of how often they're getting blood work done in general to check for things. And maybe he just mistimed his, appointments or something. Who knows? But yeah, no, if he's allowed to bleed, he's bleeding, clearly.
If he's breathing, he's bleeding. It doesn't matter if he's allowed to or not.
My man, like, the Ric Flair way is not the way to go, ever.
Which also, he's back in AEW now.
Yeah, don't even get me started. Like, look, if there's a chance that you're going to drop a deuce in your pants while you're in the ring giving a promo, probably shouldn't be in the ring.
But he's got to sell those energy drinks now to all the AEW fans. That's why he's there.
That was so weird to see the logo in the back for all this.
So this is back to the first match when Jay Lethal was getting the figure 4 put on him and they were facing the Ric Flair logo for his energy drink. I was like, that is great shot right there. Good job marketing AEW.
I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to sound like a dinosaur here, but it's like
Ric Flair.
He took a Sweet Chin Music 1, 2, 3 in the greatest retirement match I've ever seen, and then he ruined it 5 times.
Do not show him the Ric Flair retirement match because that was hard to watch.
The one where he had a heart attack in the ring and died basically for a second. Then
I treat it as if Ric Flair really did retire then, and that soul left the body at that point, and now all that's left is
the husk
of woo.
The attempted J Driller into a King Kong lariat. Into Death Rider, and then Death Rider again to make sure that Mox got the 3 points. I really appreciated the sportsmanship with the 2 shaking hands, and then of course, Mox celebrating.
Full respect, they respect each other, which is great. And Mox doesn't respect many people, so
no, which was nice.
Great to see. And so now we have Moxley with 3 points. We have Jay White with 3 points,
and Swerve with 3 points.
In this tournament, and all 3 are heels, so it's going to be interesting to see in the gold team on Saturday if the baby faces start taking it there to be getting into the finals to get even up. We'll see. Mikey, since Zach has never seen our rating system before, could we go through your rating for the evening, what you liked, and then I'll go for mine, and then Zach can give us his final thoughts on this obviously show he did watch and his understanding of wrestling in general.
Oh, I can rate it.
Alrighty. So, adopting the newest scale of rating here that we use here, we are going to use the empanada scale. So, out of 5 empanadas, what would I rate this show? I have to be honest, I'll probably give this a 3.75 out of 5 empanadas, only because I think having the tournament now that Full Gear is in the rear view, and the last 2 months that we've been using to build to Full Gear is over, and there was a lot of ups and downs in that, but I feel like this tournament, even though it's taking up the majority of the next couple of weeks, I don't mind it, because at least we get to what I've been wanting for the last couple of weeks. Just give me some good matches of people we haven't seen yet, because I'm tired of seeing the same individual people on there. It was nice to not see Chris Jericho on my television screen this week, to be completely honest. 3.75.
I'm going as well as about a 3.5 empanadas. They're about ham and cheese empanadas, though, not the actual nice ones, but just kind of the grocery store ones you kind of like. They fill you up, but they're kind of bad. But as per usual, with the lackluster use of the women and the weird booking in the women's match, I am then vomiting 1 back up, so we're down to 2.5 empanadas for this one out of 5. But overall, a decent enough one and a good storytelling bit with the tournament to keep you moving after a pay-per-view. Zach?
Well, I love the empanada scale. I'm going to give a quick shout out. Best empanadas, Empanada Mama in New York City, 9th Ave, Midtown. 24 hours a day. Go up to a counter and grab yourself an empanada. I will give this show 5 out of 5 empanadas, and I will tell you why.
I'd love to hear this.
It's the least I can do. This is probably the best you're ever going to get from AEW. So why not tell them they're great? Thanks, Tony. It was a good try. But end of the day, we all know that the era has come and gone of greatness in wrestling, and you're just reaching for scraps.
What do you feel wrestling's turned into now?
It's not about what wrestling's turned into. It's about what wrestling was. Wrestling was about having at least some substantial fan base that is marks to it and believes it's real competition. I've said this to you before, and through the current partnership and ownership, I think it could be very easily done. UFC should just lean into what pro wrestling used to be. They should just start being more choreographed about the ends of their matches and not tell anybody. Keep the backstage, because I think you've got a very different product when you've got that sort of thing going out there. What you have now is the backstageification of the entire fan base, right? So like everybody knows what's going on backstage. Everyone knows how the storylines are being constructed. And a show like this, actually, like that you guys have, speaks to that. Now, do I think that this product has legs for a while? Yeah. But can it stay like this for decades more to come? It'll have to evolve. And it could stay in this space but evolve in it. But the current model, I think, is a transitional model.
Bold words, but also very true.
You ever seen that South Park episode where they did the pro wrestling thing and they put it up on a stage? Not even kidding. I can see a 50, 100 years from now future where there is that sort of performance, a staged performance in that way, where everyone's in on it that way, and it's...
But also, what's your high school play this year? Oh, it's the Bloodline Saga by V. McMahon.
No, but I could see the Kane Undertaker saga turned into a performance.
Interesting.
Easily.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have time to dig that deep into it right now, but I appreciate this right here. Thank you to our AEW fans and our Bi-Conics fans for listening in this evening. Thank you to Mikey for the ones and twos and being so good at this. And thank you to my brother Zach for putting me in my place and making me feel small in all of your eyes.
Happy Thanksgiving, even if it's not that day when you're seeing this.
So remember, check us out online, follow us on all the socials, and remember, as always...
Follow and subscribe. These guys are better than I am at this.
And we still love him. But remember, you're Bi-Conic. We are all Bi-Conic here because we share a love of this weird, strange, and dying art form.
I'm triconic.
You are triconic.
I'm better than that.
And we'll see you in the next video.